Welcome to The Explainer. We're jumping right into a pretty wild idea today, based on a book called The Unified Theory of Geologic History. It paints a picture of a planet that played by a totally different set of rules than the one we know.
So, the book kicks off by asking you to imagine something, a world that's just perfectly stable. No seasons, right? No winter, no summer. Just this perfect, constant state of being. And we're not just talking about a different climate here. This is a fundamentally different planet. And that stability, well, it led to some pretty incredible things.
All right, so let's get into it. And we'll start with the most basic thing imaginable: water. I mean, how do you get a planet that's covered in these massive, lush forests with no rain? Not a single drop.
Well, according to this theory, the world didn't need rain. It had something called a continuous dew cycle. So picture this, an atmosphere that's just completely saturated with moisture. And every single night, without fail, it just gently releases that water onto the ground. It's almost like a gift, right? No violent storms, no cycles of drought and flood, just this reliable, gentle soaking for the entire planet every morning. You can see how that would prevent soil erosion and give plants this perfect, constant supply of water they'd need to get, well, huge.
Okay, but what could even cause a water cycle like that? I mean, that's not how our world works. And the answer, according to the book, is a totally different kind of sky. An atmosphere that was basically an engine for gigantism.
Yeah, the air itself was different. We're talking about a system with maybe double the atmospheric pressure we have now. Oxygen levels way up there, around 35%, which, by the way, isn't totally out there. It's similar to what scientists think we had during the Carboniferous period. Plus, way more CO2 and water vapor. You put all that together, and what you get is this incredibly life-sustaining environment. It's almost like the entire planet was a giant hyperbaric chamber.
And here's where it gets really cool, because these atmospheric effects just ripple through all of biology. That denser, superhumid air, it acted like a massive shield against harmful UV radiation. And what does that mean? It means cellular aging slows way down. DNA damage is drastically reduced, and all that metabolic energy that an organism would normally spend on defense and repair, it's now free to be redirected into one thing: pure, massive growth. This is the fuel for the kind of gigantism we see in the fossil record.
Okay, and if you thought that was wild, get ready for this. The book claims that this incredible UV shield is the direct biological explanation for those super long human lifespans you read about in ancient texts. It's proposing that living for 900 years or more isn't a myth. It's just what happens, biologically, when humans live under this kind of protective sky.
So you've got this super stable, nurturing world, constant water, a protective sky. You can imagine what that did for plant life, and specifically for the trees.
I mean, just think about it for a second. If you're a tree and there's no winter, no drought, no seasons to worry about, why would you ever stop growing? You wouldn't. The theory is they grew continuously all year round for their entire lives. They never had a dormant phase. And what does that continuous growth get you? It gets you a kind of wood that's completely different from anything we have today. A wood with, get this, no annual rings. And without those weak points that the boundaries between rings create, this wood would have been structurally superior in every way, just stronger, more stable, and way more resistant to splitting. And that right there just perfectly captures the core idea, doesn't it? It shows this direct, physical connection between the planet's environment and the actual structure of the life that lives there. The world's stability was literally written into the wood.
But this perfect, stable world wasn't meant to last. The theory goes on to describe a single catastrophic event that basically hit the reset button on the entire planet, and it ended this ancient world in a matter of hours.
The book calls it the rupture event, and the idea is that huge amounts of water, trapped deep under the Earth's crust, just burst out. A geological detonation that basically shattered the planet's surface. And in that one event, the atmosphere was permanently thinned, the Earth's axis got tilted, which is what gave us seasons, and that entire ancient world was buried under miles of sediment.
I know it's a huge claim. It sounds like something from a movie, but what if there was still physical proof? A record of that lost world, and of the exact moment it all ended that survived to this day. This is where the author makes a really bold, really fascinating claim. They point to a specific living witness that might just hold the answer, hidden deep inside its core. Okay, so according to this theory, the oldest giant sequoias aren't just descendants of the ancient trees. They are the ancient trees. The idea is that they are literal living survivors.
that they sprouted before the catastrophe, somehow made it through, and have just kept on growing in our new modern world ever since. And that leaves us with this final, really provocative thought. It's a testable prediction. The theory claims that somewhere, deep inside the oldest living things on our planet, there's a core of that ring-free wood, a physical boundary line that marks the exact moment our world of seasons, storms, and rings began, a literal echo of a world without rain.